Hi there, welcome to Recap City. Today, I am going to share a 2020 American action thriller movie titled Unhinged. Warning, spoilers ahead. Enjoy watching. The movie starts with a man sitting in his pickup who's clearly troubled on a particularly rainy night. He is taking his wedding ring off and throws it away. He then lights a match and gets out of his car holding a hammer and a gas canister. He went to a house and breached the door, alerting the inhabitants that runs towards him only to be violently taken down. He pours the gas on the canister all over the house and lights it on fire. The house blows up as he drives away. In the next scene, we can see Rachel sleeping on the sofa and getting woken up by a call from her best friend and her lawyer Andy. He reminds her that they should file an objection to her soon-to-be ex-husband who wants her house. She cuts the conversation with Andy when her son comes in and tells her that they'll be late and she should get dressed. Kyle is in the dining room with his uncle Fred, who's talking to his mother on his laptop. The violent attack from earlier is on the news. The report says that the man was the woman's ex-husband who has a history of substance abuse and violence. Kyle and his uncle Fred are talking as Rachel searches for her candy cane scissors. Fred's girlfriend arrives and joins them at the table. They're talking about their financial difficulties, particularly the cost of the nursing home for their mother. Then, Rachel and Kyle rush to their old car and leave. They end up in a traffic jam and argue about taking the freeway. Kyle protests the idea, but Rachel decides to do it, saying they're going to be late. While driving, her husband calls and the kid picks up. Kyle's pleased to talk to his dad but gets disappointed instantly when his father cancels their plans to go to a game. Rachel tries to cheer him up, but matter worsens as they still end up in a traffic jam on the freeway. Then, Rachel gets another call, this time from a client. The client realizes that she'll be late again and Rachel can't lie out of the situation, so she gets fired. Her son teases her to cheer her up and then suggests they go through the service street, so she should take the next exit from the freeway. From the freeway, they stop at a red light behind a gray pickup. When the light changes and the pickup in front of them doesn't move, she starts honking and drives around him. At the next light, the car pulls up next to them. The driver was the man that set the house on fire. He rolls down his window and asks them to do the same, and Kyle does it. Rachel and the man have an awkward conversation with him, patronizing her and then admitting he was wrong and apologizing for it, expecting her to do the same. But she doesn't want to because she believes she has nothing to apologize for. The man then gets mad, threatening her that she will find out what a bad day really means. This scares Kyle and asks her mother to just go. The man starts following them and cuts them off twice. But Rachel was able to lose him and manages to get Kyle to school late. She calls Andy and asks him to meet her for breakfast in 20 minutes, promising not to be late even though she's low on gas. Rachel stops at a gas station, sets the pump and goes inside to get a few other things. When she goes to the cashier to pay, she sees the gray pickup parked behind her car. Worried, she tells the cashier and the guy standing in line next to her that the man in the pickup has been following her after an argument. The guy says he'll walk her out and get his plates as she fuels the tank and gets in the car. The guy tells her the man's plates and she drives off. He stays behind, telling the man in the pickup not to follow. Suddenly, the man rams him over into the street and gets hit by a second car, while the pickup continues to chase after Rachel. She tries to lose him on the way, but they get stuck in a traffic jam again with him right behind her. He rams in her car over and over, but no one reacts. They start driving again and Rachel can't find her phone to call for help. The man pulls up next to her and shows her that he has her phone. She drives off, causing an accident on the way and almost running over a woman. Thinking she finally lost him, she pulls up into a parking lot to hide and calm her nerves. Meanwhile, Andy is waiting for Rachel in a diner, calling her but getting only voicemail. The man with a pickup walks in and heads straight for Andy. He lies to him and says he's an old friend of Rachel's, then sits down and chats with him. They talk about scary experiences with road rage and Rachel's divorce. The man is defending her soon-to-be ex-husband and Andy gets uncomfortable. So, the man lies and says he could get Rachel on the phone. Andy then tells him to try and gives him his phone. Back at the parking lot, Rachel is looking for her tablet when she suddenly hears a ringing. She finds a phone and picks it up even though it's not her phone. The man gives Andy his cell phone and he tells her that he's waiting for her in the diner with an old friend of hers. She says she doesn't know anyone by the name given. Andy turns the phone over to the man the moment she starts talking to him, calling him a psycho and explaining what happened. He tells her that she needs to truly apologize to him in person, which alerts Andy that something isn't right and he asks for his phone back. That's the moment when the man hits Andy with a cup, breaking his nose. Everyone in the diner gets upset, but no one helps when the man slams his head on the table, knocking him out. He puts Rachel on speaker and continues to talk to her, asking if Andy is just her lawyer and friend or if she's cheating on her husband with him, just like his own wife did. He tells Rachel to say her last words to Andy as he chokes him and eventually stabs him, while the people in the diner still do nothing except film the situation. As the man is walking out of the diner, he tells Rachel that Andy is dead. She tries to plead with him and apologizes, but the man doesn't believe her and speeds away. The man calls her again from her phone and starts reciting all the messages she's gotten, including one from her son's school. He starts toying with her and asking her to choose who he should kill next from her contact list. When she refuses, he sends all her money to her husband and threatens to go after her mom and burn her house down. Rachel chooses herself, but he doesn't accept and asks for another name. She chooses the name of the client that fired her. He hangs up and Rachel immediately calls the police. They arrive at the house of her client, but the man isn't there. Back at the house, Fred is watching what happened in the diner on the news. There's a strange noise coming from the other room and his girlfriend doesn't respond to his calls. He goes to check on her. On the way, he sees the pickup parked before the house. The noises continue and he follows them with a knife in hand. The man appears holding his beaten-up girlfriend and telling him about what happened with Rachel. He says he feels insignificant and that the only thing he has left is violence and revenge, so he kills Fred's girlfriend. He then sends Rachel a photo of him with her brother. The man calls her again and she tells him she called the police, which he already knows. He checks the tracker on Rachel's phone and sees that she's in front of Kyle's school. He tells her that she has 3 minutes to pick him up and drive away or he'll kill Fred. He tells Fred to write her a letter blaming her for his girlfriend's death, all the while pouring gasoline on him. Meanwhile, Rachel gets her son out of school. As they're driving away, she calls the man back telling him she is Kyle. The man tells her to put him on speaker or he'll light her brother on fire. He makes Fred read the letter he wrote saying Rachel is responsible for everything that has happened and that he'll never see another sunrise again. Suddenly, a police officer walks into the house and the man hides behind Fred. He lights Fred on fire and runs, but the cop shoots him in the shoulder. Rachel can hear everything happening on the phone. She stops the car and breaks down. As Kyle tries to comfort her, the phone rings again. It's the man telling her Fred is dead. He threatens Kyle, but she threatens him back. Done with all of his garbage and smashes the phone. She and Kyle get in the car and head to the police station. On the way there they realize that he might be tracking them with Rachel's tablet. Kyle finds it tapped beneath her seat and wants to throw it out the window. But Rachel has the idea to track the man with the tablet as he tracked them before. Kyle realizes that he's right in front of them, having stolen her neighbor's van. They see a police car in front as well. Rachel tells Kyle to put his seatbelt on, pull up on the side of the van, and headed straight to the police car. Kyle tries to get the cops' attention, but the man figures out what they're doing and rams the police car, causing a massive car crash. He keeps following them and catching up. Kyle calls the police from the tablet, but they tell them that they can't do anything to help. The tablet runs out of battery and they are left on their own. Rachel decides to go to her mother's house, where the neighborhood is just complicated enough to slow the man down a little. She speeds up and he follows, causing car crashes on the way. She manages to trick him and lose him for a moment, just long enough to get to her mother's house and let Kyle inside. When he gets there, he activates the panic button on the alarm. He then gets a flashlight and hides upstairs in a secret compartment. Meanwhile, the man is riding around in the neighborhood looking for them. He sees the car and stops to take his meds and gather himself. Suddenly, Rachel rams into him with another car. She walks up to his car, but he grabs and pins her to the ground. He tells her that she'll always remember him and what she could have done to save her boy. With Rachel down, he goes after Kyle in the house, calling for him and lying it's the police. The kid makes a noise and Rachel appears in a hiding spot, but so does the man. They fight, with the man going after Kyle constantly and Rachel relentlessly attacking him so he can't get to him. He knocks her over and starts strangling her son, but she finds her candy cane scissors and stabs him, finally killing him. The police eventually arrive at the house. Rachel and Kyle are approached by the police officer that found Fred and he tells her that he's still alive. They leave the scene and drive to the hospital to see him, making sure they don't anger anyone else on the road. Help us grow this channel. Subscribe for more videos every day, turn on notifications and leave a like and a comment. Thank you for watching. See you at the next one.